Well, the weekend has come and gone, and the Dodgers took a meeting. What's up, everybody? I'm Jim Rodriguez. Welcome to Dodgers Latest for a Monday. So happy that you're along with us. Of course, you can hit me up right there, Instagram and on X at JRodShow. And of course, love all your comments. We want you to subscribe, follow, share, tell a friend, tell an enemy, a Met fan, a Yankee fan, a Giant fan, a Padre fan, what we got going on here in Dodgers Latest. We love to have you part of it. And of course, we're going to have your comments, and we love when you guys are interacting because you're the very best part of Dodgers Latest. And yeah, when we talked about the Dodgers took a meeting, well, according to reports, the Dodgers have met with Kyle Tucker. Now, he's also met with the Mets, and he's also met with the Blue Jays. Some of it has been in person, some of it has been by Zoom. We figure since Kyle Tucker lives sort of in the Tampa area, he's already visited the Blue Jays spring training facility in Dunedin, which isn't too far away from Tampa. But he definitely has met with the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Blue Jays. And if you're Kyle Tucker, man, I'll tell you what, you're being courted by three of the biggest spenders in baseball, especially the Blue Jays. They have gone absolutely wild. They're like a drunken sailor. They came between an IKF toenail from stepping on home plate before Miguel Rojas threw him out, and Will Smith stepped on home plate from winning the World Series, and they have just gone wild. And listen, as a fan, you got to love it, right? Your organization's going out there doing what you need to do to spend and try to get back to that World Series and eventually win it. The Mets, they're obviously not afraid to spend money. Their problem is they're not getting any results from it. You know, they've moved some pieces around, but it'll be interesting to see where they come up with in the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. And of course, for the Dodgers, well, they're just hanging out by the backboard, right? That's the best quote I've heard about the Dodgers. They're just kind of the cool guy, chilling, hanging out, waiting to see what happens. You know, now what you don't want to have happen is you don't want to be bidding against yourself. And that's what I think, you know, there is a bit of an air of desperation. At least I feel that way about the Blue Jays. They're just going out there and doing whatever they can. And I have no doubt they're going to be back in the playoffs. And I have no doubt we may see the Dodgers and Blue Jays again in the World Series. But they are just not going to be denied. So you just got to wonder how much they are willing to go and how much Kyle Tucker and his people are going to try to pit the Blue Jay money against the Met money and against the Dodger money, and how much further the Dodgers are going to want to go on this. I almost feel like the Dodgers are going to be like, listen, you talk to the Blue Jays, you talk to the Mets, and get back to us and see who separates themselves and who willingly, is going to give the deal. For Tucker, prime of his career, right? So he's going to want, everybody's been saying between, 7, 8, 9 years. And we know the Dodgers are not in that market. Dodgers are all about giving short-term deals, maybe 3-4 year deal with a higher annual value, maybe in the 45s to 50 range, maybe, high 30s, low 40s. But they're not going to give them a 7-8 year contract. And of course, we got labor a strife that's going to happen at the end of the season. But it'll be interesting between those three teams, the Mets, the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers, who ends up, outbidding the other. I keep feeling that he's going to go to Toronto because I think Toronto at the end of the day is just going to offer the most money. Do you want to play for the Mets? I don't know if the Mets are an organization I want to play for right now. I don't know if I'm Kyle Tucker, if I'm, the biggest free agent right now. I don't know if I want to hitch my wagon to a team that is trying to find its own identity as opposed to a team that just came from being in the World Series like the Blue Jays, and certainly a team like the Dodgers who's won back-to-back World Series. Now, I'm sure if he ends up signing if he signs with the Dodgers, there's going to be some opt-outs that he can get out of the contract and maybe go back again. And I know there definitely will be with the Mets. Question is, will that opt-out deal exist with the Blue Jays? But it'll be interesting as the Mets, Blue Jays, and Dodgers have all met with Kyle Tucker. You guys have been strong about this, about your feelings about should they sign Tucker, should they not sign Tucker. I mean, he's obviously the most marquee free agent out there. That's not necessarily the best free agent out there in terms of how that fits the team. Curious to see what the Dodgers do and curious to see where he ends up. If I'm a betting man, I think he's going to end up in Toronto. And of course, now we have some Bo Bichette news as well. Well, do the Phillies now have an edge on signing Bo Bichette? Well, Don Mattingly, the ex-Dodger manager, who had been the bench coach for the Blue Jays, and John Schneider, he has left the Blue Jays, and now he has become the bench coach for the Phillies. And Bichette and Mattingly had a great relationship. They got along, and it seems like the Phillies would have, quote unquote, the edge because of the Mattingly factor. Now, when you hear stuff like that, it always makes me laugh. Like, oh, well, it's because I loved him as a coach, and now he's going to be with the Phillies. Listen, you're going to go where you're going to make the most money, right? You're going to go where you're going to be put in the best position to succeed. Phillies and Dodgers are very similar in that they both have shortstops. Trey Turner's at shortstop for the Phillies. Of course, Mookie Betts is at shortstop for the Dodgers. So he's going to be playing second base, either in Philadelphia or the Dodgers, if he ends up going to those two teams. Is that something he's going to want to do? And is that something as an organization, whether you're the Phillies and you're the Dodgers, is that something you're going to want to pay for, those growing pains? Because again, shortstop is his natural position. We saw him play second base in the World Series, and he didn't do that badly of it as he was nursing an injury. But it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I'll tell you what, if the Phillies do end up signing Bo Bichette, that middle of the lineup is going to be crazy because they've already signed Kyle Schwarber. They got Adolis Garcia from the Rangers. They already have Trey Turner. They already have Bryce Harper. And you put Bo Bichette in that lineup. Whoo, buddy. And there's a team as well. The Phillies, who ended up getting eliminated by the Dodgers in the division series. That ended on a thud as Ryan Kerkering made an error, and it basically ended the division series with an error, and the Dodgers ended up winning the game and the series. So they've got this is a big make it or break it year for the Phillies, and Rob Thompson, who's the manager there, a lot of pressure on them. Boy, that lineup would be absolutely stacked if Bo Bichette goes there. So if the Phillies, I'm sure that one of the reasons why they signed Manley, I think Manley wanted, he's an Ohio guy. I don't know if the commute to Toronto was something he wanted to do, if he felt more comfortable being in the United States. No political agenda here. I'm just saying, just the currency, the change, going through customs every time you want to bring your family back and forth. Don't know. As opposed to being in Philadelphia, another winning environment, and and if you're Don Manley, I don't know if he wants to be a manager again, but you talk about a guy who's on the hot seat and Rob Thompson, things go sideways, all of a sudden Don Manley could be sitting in the big chair as well. But Bo Bichette to the Phillies because of Don Mattingly, I'm not necessarily buying it, but I can see it as well. He's got really, I don't know what connections he has with the Dodgers other than the big paycheck the Dodgers would end up giving him. All right, we always want you to be part of the show. Love to have you with us here. And, of course, the last time we talked to you, we talked about how Tarik Skubal is going to go to arbitration with the Tigers, right? It's a $13 million gap. He asked for $32 million, and the Tigers offered $19. And since they couldn't get to an agreement before last Thursday's deadline, then you go to an arbitrator. And the arbitrator, there is no in-between anymore. He's either going to get the 32 that he wants, or he's going to get the 19 that the Tigers have offered. And that $13 million difference is the biggest difference in the history of the arbitration process. And you reached out and said, hey, the people who run the Tigers are insane. How do you offer the man $13 million less than he thinks he's worth? They just blew any chance they could keep him after the season. Yeah, well, I almost feel like the Tigers were, I don't think they have any sort of dreams that they're going to sign Tarik Skubal. I know they were a quarter of they were $250 million apart just in the initial contract, let alone in the year-by-year deal. Skubal, prime of his career, back-to-back Cy Young awards, and I almost feel like the Tigers have put themselves in a position to sort of lowball him by offering him $19 million, by saying, hey, if we win, we can sort of swallow paying him $19 million and then try to trade him at the All-Star break. Because I think that's what's going to happen. If Skubal loses the arbitration and the Tigers end up having to pay him $19 million, I think they'll start the season with him. They've been to the playoffs 2 years in a row. They could be a World Series contender if things break right for him. With, of course, best pitcher in baseball on your team, that gives you a chance to win every time he's out there. But if they lose the arbitration and they end up having to pay him $32 million, Bet your bottom dollar he will not be on the Tigers' opening day roster. He will be traded long, long before opening day happens. Of course, one of the other options we talked about, how Kyle Tucker is in the mix. Looks like Cody Bellinger more and more may be a Yankee as they are approaching a contract there. Wilyer Abreu from the Red Sox has been in the mix for the Dodgers as a possible trade candidate. And there's a guy who's late 20s, found his power bat, Gold Glove in right field the last 2 seasons, and maybe the Dodgers can try to make a trade to get him. And that's something that spoke some interest from Gary. Sold! Just talked to Boston now while the 3 big names are still left in play. I like Abreu's age and direction of development. Yeah. He's Venezuelan from Maracaibo. I think the clubhouse would be great. And of course, anything that moves Teoscar Hernandez from right field to left field, I welcome it. That's been the big problem with maybe trading for a Stephen Kwan is that he's a left fielder. So you're not really solving your problem of Teoscar not being able to play right field. If you made a trade for Abreu or you signed Bellinger or you signed Tucker, Teo immediately moves over to left field and you're in business there. And you got, a pretty powerful outfield in and of itself. Hey, man, we always want you to be part of the show. Love to have you with us. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and comment here on Dodgers Latest. You can always hit me up right there, X and Instagram at JRod Show. Yeah, a month away from pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. Camelback Ranch is going to be buzzing with the World Baseball Classic going on. By the way, Freddie Freeman not going to be on Team Canada for the World Baseball Classic. He originally had committed. Now he has backed out to personal reasons. So Freddie will not be part of the World Baseball Classic as he will be full spring training with the Dodgers. And I hope you're a part of it. I hope you're a part of our full spring training as we get ready to go right here on our YouTube channel at Dodgers Latest. So very happy to be a part of your day. And remember, we're here all week for you on Dodgers Latest. I'm Jim Rodriguez, and no matter what, it's always time for Dodger Baseball.